The sound is not what you expect from the birth of a trillion-dollar empire. It is not the applause of a keynote speech or the pop of champagne corks. It is the low, grinding drone of cheap cooling fans spinning themselves to death in a cramped Stanford dorm room. It is late 1998, and the air inside is thick, recycled, and smells faintly of ozone and stale pizza. This is not a headquarters, it is a fire hazard. And inside this sweltering cage of cables and stripped-down computer cases, two young men are not plotting world domination. They're plotting their escape. Larry Page rubs his eyes, the heels of his hands digging into sockets dark with exhaustion. He hasn't slept properly in weeks. Beside him, Sergey Brin is staring at a monitor that flickers with the raw, scrolling data of the World Wide Web. They are PhD students, the brightest of their generation, but right now they look less like visionaries and more like drowning victims. Their project, a search engine they clumsily named Backrub before rebranding it to Google, has become a monster that refuses to stop eating. It is consuming everything: their time, their sleep, and most critically, Stanford University's internet bandwidth. The university administrators are losing patience. The network is sluggish. The entire academic infrastructure of one of the world's most prestigious institutions is buckling under the weight of Larry and Sergey's digital crawler. Every time they patch the code, the traffic spikes again. It is a parasite, growing faster than its hosts can manage. To the outside world, the dot-com boom is a gold rush, a deafening party where everyone is getting rich on vaporware. But here, in the dim light of the server racks, it feels like a trap. Larry pushes his chair back, the metal scraping harshly against the floor. He looks at the tangled mess of wires, the physical manifestation of their burden. They didn't come to Stanford to be CEOs. They came to be academics. They wanted to write papers, to contribute to the high altar of computer science, to secure tenure and live the quiet, intellectual lives of researchers. This business, this constant firefighting, this hunt for hard drives, this terror that the servers will catch fire while they sleep, is a distraction. It is keeping them from their real work. The irony is suffocating. They have built something that organizes the world's information, yet they feel completely lost. They discuss the reality of their situation in hushed, frantic tones. If they keep this up, they will likely be kicked out of the PhD program. The project is too big to be a hobby and too small to be a business. It is in the dangerous middle ground where dreams go to die. They look at each other, and the decision hangs in the air, heavy and inevitable. They need to sell. They need to find someone, anyone, who will take this code off their hands so they can go back to their lives. They aren't calculating equity splits or future valuations. They are calculating how much peace of mind costs. They draft a list of potential buyers, the giants of the current web who surely have the infrastructure to handle this beast. They are not dreaming of changing the world anymore. They are just dreaming of a full night's sleep. They prepare to package their life's work not as a crown jewel, but as a problem to be solved by someone else's checkbook. The exit strategy is set. They are going to sell the future, and they are going to do it for pennies. The drive to the Excite headquarters feels less like a business trip and more like a pilgrimage to the executioner. Excite is one of the masters of the universe. They are the portal, the homepage for millions, the gatekeepers of the internet. Their office is everything the Stanford dorm room is not: cool, polished, corporate, silent. The carpet swallows the sound of footsteps. There is no smell of burning ozone here, only the sterile scent of money and success. Larry and Sergey, in their ill-fitting clothes, look like tourists in a land they do not belong to. They are ushered into the meeting room. George Bell, the CEO of Excite, sits across from them. The power dynamic is absolute. On one side, the establishment, a man who runs a company worth billions, who decides what the internet looks like for the average user. On the other side, two exhausted students holding a hard drive full of algorithms that nobody quite understands. The air in the room is thin, pressurized. Larry starts the pitch. He explains the PageRank algorithm. He talks about relevance, about how their engine looks at the links between pages, not just the keywords on them. He demonstrates how it cuts through the noise of the web to find the exact truth a user is looking for. It is brilliant. It is revolutionary. And to George Bell, it is utterly terrifying for all the wrong reasons. The offer is placed on the table, $1 million, for the entire codebase, the brand, the technology, the future of search. Larry and Sergey wait, their hearts hammering against their ribs. This is the ticket out. $1 million to split, pay off their debts, and return to the sanctuary of the library. Bell shakes his head. The price is too high. The rejection stings, sharp and immediate. It's not just a no, it's a valuation of their worthlessness. Panic sets in. They glance at each other, a silent communication of desperation. They cannot go back to the dorm with this burden. They need to unload it. They swallow their pride. They swallowed the years of coding, the sleepless nights, the brilliance of the math. 750,000, one of them says. The voice cracks slightly. $750,000. It is a fire sale. It is less than the cost of a mediocre house in Palo Alto today. It is an insult to the code, but they don't care. They just want out. Bell looks at them, and then he looks at the data. He explains his problem. Their search engine is too good. That is the sentence that hangs in the air, defying all logic. It works too fast. If a user searches for something on Google, they find the answer immediately and leave the search engine. They go to the destination. For Excite, this is a disaster. Excite wants stickiness. They want users to stay on their portal, reading news, checking stocks, clicking ads. They don't want to send people away. They want to trap them. A search engine that works perfectly is a bad business model for a company that sells attention. The rejection is absolute. Bell isn't just saying no to the price. He is saying no to the philosophy. He is telling them that efficiency is a bug, not a feature. He is telling them that the truth is bad for business. The meeting ends. The $750,000 check is never written. Larry and Sergey pack up their papers. The walk back to the parking lot is the longest walk of their lives. They offered their soul for a bargain price, and the devil told them it wasn't worth the investment. The silence in the car on the way back to Stanford is different now. It is not the nervous silence of anticipation. It is the hollow, ringing silence of the void. The rejection from Excite wasn't just a business failure. It was a total dismantling of their escape plan. The life rafts have been punctured. There is no one coming to save them. The server fans in the dorm room are still spinning, waiting for them, hungry for more electricity, more bandwidth, more life. But as the shock wears off, something else begins to crystallize in the cold air of the car. A strange, cold anger, a clarity born of humiliation. George Bell hadn't just rejected their price, he had rejected the fundamental utility of the internet. He believed that the purpose of the web was to trap people, to hoard them like cattle in a digital pen. Larry and Sergey believed the purpose was to free them, to connect them instantly with what they needed.
This is the pivot point. This is the split second where history fractures. If Bell had written that check for $750,000, Google would have become a back-end feature of Excite. It would have been tweaked to be slower, stickier, worse. It would have eventually been shut down when Excite imploded a few years later. The algorithm that maps our entire reality would have died in a corporate hard drive, a footnote in a bankruptcy filing. But he didn't write the check. And because he didn't, Larry and Sergey are forced into a corner. They have no choice now. They cannot sell, so they must build. The reluctance evaporates, burned away by the friction of the rejection. They realize that if the giants of the industry are too blind to see the value of pure information, then the giants deserve to fall. They are no longer students trying to quit. They are founders who have been pushed into the arena. They drop out.
They move the servers to a garage. The fear of failure is still there, but it is now outweighed by a terrifying sense of purpose. They stop trying to fit into the existing internet and start building a new one. They embrace the very thing Bell hated: the speed, the efficiency, the clean white page that sends you away as fast as possible. They bet everything on the idea that users want answers, not portals. Today, looking back from the future they created, that $750,000 mistake is almost impossible to comprehend. That rejection didn't just save a company, it saved the modern world. It preserved the integrity of the search for truth. It allowed Google to grow into a force that indexes human knowledge, maps our planet, and answers our questions before we even finish asking them. We often look for the moment of success, the IPO, the first billion, the magazine cover. But the most important moment in Google's history was a moment of abject failure. It was the moment the door slammed shut. It is a reminder that sometimes the greatest gift the world can give you is a no. Sometimes you have to be denied the easy way out so you can be forced to forge the path that changes everything. The $750,000 check that was never signed is the most valuable check in history.